Hi everybody. So, you know those ornamental grasses that everybody grows and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with them other than look at them all winter? Well, I'm going to show you how to make a really easy wreath from them. So this isn't complete, but if you had to sit here and watch me do this, you would be bored to tears for about an hour. So instead, what I've done is I've gotten mostly partially completed. So what you need is a straw wreath, not a grapevine wreath or a wire wreath. You can see right here. And the reason you want this type of wreath form is because you're going to be sticking floral pins into them. And you can kind of see they kind of look like weird paper clips that have been opened up. So what I've done is I harvest the ornamental grasses. They're called awns, not flowers actually. And so what I do is when they're first coming up, before they open, I cut them off. And then what I do is I take a spray. This is a crystal clear acrylic spray. And I lightly spray them. Now, what they do when they're drying, when they open, is they're kind of going to go, they're going to kind of bend in one position. So what I do actually to keep them from sticking together, because that can happen too, and then you have a real mess, is I simply get cardboard boxes and poke holes in them and put them in there, and they dry overnight. And it also keeps them from kind of flying away all over the place, especially inside the house. It makes a great toy for cats, but it's really messy for you. So what I'm going to do is show you how to just kind of finish this. So I've got some of these pins here. I just kind of keep them in an old bucket. And you can see I can open this up a little bit. And what I'm going to do actually is, here's the stem. I am going to trim it down a little bit more. Just like that. And then I am going to place it on the wreath, like so. Right here, and I'm going to use the pin to actually fit it in. You don't want to use hot glue on these because what happens is you're going to end up burning yourself. The plastic that holds the straw together is going to melt, and you're just going to have one big mess all over the place. So I've taken some from different ornamental grasses, so you can see that I have some different colors in here. I have a very light colored one, and then I have a very how do we want to put it, dark tan one. So we're just going to do that. So ornamental grasses are some of the easiest plants to grow. There are some that are well behaved, there's others that aren't so well behaved, and they come in a variety of sizes and colors. And so some of the ones you might want to look at is Pennisetum bunny, which is a very short one, nice short awns. Then there's Zabrinus, which is a miscanthus, gets very large, usually about 5 to 6 foot tall. It's a great barrier plant should you want to be actually keeping people from peeking into your yard. It's a good way to kind of keep them from doing that because it also is a bit sharp. I don't recommend it if you have small children because they can get cut on it. And actually, if you're kind of klutzy, you can get cut on it too. So the deer don't eat them, fortunately. Near as I can tell, if you live in moose country, the moose don't eat them, bears don't eat them, groundhogs don't eat them, bunnies don't eat them. So it's kind of an all-around good plant to have if you live with lots of creatures. I live with a lot of deer, I live with a lot of groundhogs, and I only have one bunny. And so I actually don't bother with him at all. He really hasn't done any damage to the garden. You know, it's a different story when they do damage. My biggest pests, even though we have, where I live, we actually have something like 400 deer per square mile. That's a lot of deer, and I only live 10 minutes from the center of the city. So that'll kind of give you an idea of our deer population. But if you want, you can plant, you know, a variety of them and you can use them as barriers. You can use them as a focal point in the garden and just having one. A very well-behaved one is called Carl Forester. It's Calamagrostis, Carl Forester, and it's very narrow. It's upright. It's about 3.5 to 4 foot tall. You can also grow it in a pot. It's great for growing in those areas where you just want some height, and it'll just keep growing for you every year. Cut them down in the spring. I see a lot of people like to tie ribbons around them, whatever. Ornamental grasses are best cut early in the spring, so you know how we typically get, you know, 1 or 2 of those warm February, January days where you're like, huh, maybe spring's already here, and it's really not. But you can get out there and just chop them down. The birds will actually enjoy the clippings. If you have a place to just put them where the birds can get to them, they'll use them for nesting. And then it'll just start growing, and you don't have to fertilize them. You don't have to do anything to them except let them grow and enjoy their beauty. So we're almost done here. A few more pieces in here. And see, I have a very short stem. I don't really need a long stem on here. So I always like to try to tuck them in, and these do have to go in one direction, just because that's the way they are. Otherwise you'll just have an awful mess. And these pins go in fairly easy. You can get a whole bag of them like this. They're only, I'm trying to think what I pay, under $1 for them. And you can even find them sometimes in the dollar store. You know, the craft stores always have them in the floral department. And let's see, I gotta hide it, just a couple pieces. It's called hiding the mechanics. And what that means is you're just hiding, in this case, the straw. So I'm just going to kind of tuck it in right here in the center, like right in here is where I'm putting it. I'm gonna put my last pin in. See, did you really want to watch me do this for an hour? Now, I've got some wild and crazy pieces here, so I'm actually just going to give them a quick snip, just to kind of make it a little less wild. If you like wild, that's good, you can do that too. And I get these in here. I got a couple more in here. You can kind of see, you can see these wild pieces. And then what I'm going to do, even though these have already been sprayed once, I'm going to give them one more spray. And these wreaths will last a couple of years, unless of course you put it like in the sun or a windy place. You know, this is best actually left inside the house where you can enjoy it. And we're done. And we've got an ornamental grass wreath that the only thing it cost was the wreath form and some pins. Everything else was free. Have a good day. I hope you try it yourself.